the YouTube wonderland has made the world smaller, right? It's made the world smaller, and YouTube could get you into some precarious situations. You see all the YouTube beefs, people wanting to pull up and all that stuff. Well, I'm going to give the story of a recent situation I had about right before Thanksgiving.
Turn left onto Ramon Road.
Now, for those of you who don't know, I had a YouTube channel where I had about 1,800 subscribers. Another YouTube channel, right? Called Kingdom of the Son of God. And
continue on Ramon Road for half a mile.
I had that channel, right? And I used to do very controversial topics, because if you're a Christian and you're true to what the Bible says about life, principles, morals, it is going to be offensive and controversial. There's no way to slice it. This was a book, the New Testament, at least penned 2,000 years ago. So they would have very traditional views on things. And within the church world that I was in, there were those who were what we would call Judaizers, and I was exposing them for being hypocrites because I found out some information about,
in a quarter mile, turn right onto South Farrell Drive,
claiming to keep the law of Moses and the Torah, yet they were living pornographically behind the scenes, and I exposed it. And I had done videos exposing the so-called chosen people, preaching against them.
Take the next right onto South Farrell Drive.
And it just so happened that I did a
continue
video
on South Farrell Drive for 1 mile,
where I had my work badge viewable. State Farm. And that opened me up. The people that were gaslighting me and that were against me because I was exposing their hypocrisy for being these wannabe law keepers of the Torah and Judaizing the Christian faith, they found out where I worked. Now, in my work, their policy is that they cannot fire you for social media views. Anything you do on social media, they cannot fire you. That's their policy. They only ask that you don't represent the company in your views, right? And through the few years that I worked at State Farm, I was very outspoken in my beliefs about things, because State Farm is a very woke company pushing woke ideologies. Hey, salute, Johnny, salute. So good to see you, bro. They were pushing the LGBTQ stuff. I spoke out against it. And at my job, you can create a social media page within Yammer, and it's viewable to all State Farm employees. So
in a quarter mile, turn left onto East Palm Canyon Drive. You
would even have the Church of Satan. People would create all these crazy pages. So I created one about Christianity. And I would talk about Romans chapter 1 and how the Bible is adamantly against homosexuality, what we call sodomy. And
turn left onto East Palm Canyon Drive.
So I was very outspoken. I got talked to. But see, my company was very lenient. So they were very into people allowing people to have their views. So they never told me anything. At worst, they would do, if there was a thread in our work social media, they would shut it down. And finally, one time they did talk to me and said, the way you said things and expressed things could be offensive. This, that, and the third. I said, don't worry about it. They just talked to me. They said, you know what, if you do it again, you can be banned from social media within State Farm.
Continue for 9 miles.
And then the thing is that they would continue to push this transgender ideology where State Farm hired or they got State Farm agents to pass out transgender literature, 500 to 600 State Farm agents to pass out through. And so me and some other Christians emailed the CEO of State Farm directly, said, we will never, if you continue this, we will not recommend your product, State Farm Insurance, to any of our friends or family. They're very vocal, and they shut it down. It was called the Gender Cool Project. And then I just continued to preach on my social media page within State Farm my beliefs. And then I got talked to again. Again, just a talking to, don't do it again or you'll be banned from State Farm. No, you'll be banned from social media. So I was like, all right. This time I actually said, okay, I'm not going to be controversial. And State Farm would have TED Talks. It was all wokeness, all Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ stuff, and I refused to attend. I would never attend. Refused. And my boss even said, because we would have diversity and inclusion as part of our goals at work, and I said, I'm not going to do it. I will not attend these things. And she's, oh, okay, I'm just letting you know, Solomon, it's just part of your goals. Like, all right, but I'm not going to attend. And I was nice about it. I was polite about it. Then finally, now I was doing videos on my YouTube channel exposing the so-called chosen people, the synagogue of Satan, the people that all the Christian churches worship and grovel at their feet. That I don't get it. I don't get why people glorify these people in the Middle East so much. That's just me. So I'm working from home one day because we were on a hybrid schedule, and I get a call from our headquarters in Illinois, Bloomington, Illinois, during my lunch hour, telling me not to log back on my computer, that I'm under investigation, that they'll get back to me in a week. Once they conduct the investigation, they'll give me a heads up. I'm like, okay, can you tell me anything? Though she's, oh, we can't tell you, but there's just been, you're under investigation for violating company policy. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I knew what it was, because I had exposed these people within our church group who were telling everybody, you got to keep the Torah and you got to do this. And I was exposing them for being these Judaizers. And it came out that they were doing pornography behind the scenes. I exposed that. And since that point, they were after me. And I found out they circulated a petition among their Judaizing group, these Jew lovers, these wannabe Jews, these idolaters of everything Israel and the Jews. They were circulating a petition to report me to State Farm. So I'm like, okay. I get the phone call right before Thanksgiving. I'm like, all right, well, they can't fire me for this because I'm not representing State Farm when I do these videos. So I'm on suspension, paid leave for a week and a half, about a little over a week. Then I get the call the next week. And they said they're terminating me immediately. I said, well, I thought that I have my freedom of speech as long as I don't represent State Farm. This is my private social media. And then they said, in a couple of my videos, my company badge, unbeknownst to me, was visible because sometimes I do videos going into work. And it was visible. And I did a couple of videos during my lunch hour in the conference room, but there was no State Farm insignia there. So they got me on a technicality. All because these people that I exposed doxed me and reported me like the snitch rats that they are. There's nothing more than I hate than a rat and a snitch. But in today's world, people growing up think that's something honorable. But anyways, so I got terminated from State Farm. I had to return my equipment because I was working from home and worked, going back and forth. But that's what happened. So I got doxxed and terminated. But you know what? I'm glad I did. Because, see, in the dark age that we must endure, because, see, our country has been infiltrated by Bolshevik communists post-World War II. And they're trying to rob the soul of this nation and our belief in God, and our belief what is beautiful and natural. Because, see, a man with a man is perverted. A woman with a woman is perverted. A woman that wants to be a man's perversion. It's a mental illness, vice versa. What's beautiful and natural is a man and a woman producing a family, fertility, nature. And see, we must go through this crucible of being willing to be persecuted by the enemies of all that is wholesome and beautiful and natural. See, the wicked hate what's beautiful. They love what is dysgenic and ugly. And it just makes me sick. All the Christian churches, all these Jewish loving cucks in the Christian churches just bowed down before Israel, the great Satan. And that's not it. That's not all. These Judaizing pigs that ratted me out to my job then continue to report my YouTube channels that had more subscribers than this channel, and I got 2 YouTube channels terminated. This channel is just an extra side project for me. But it's the cost of warfare, right? Because we're in a serious time. And I'm going to continue pushing through. So all of this, losing my 2 YouTube channels, getting terminated from State Farm, it was all for good. I love it, because that's the cost of doing warfare. But anyways, it is what it is. That's the story. That was last Thanksgiving, around that time. And I'm stronger than ever, doing better than ever, pushing forward. So if you end up getting doxxed and terminated, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And that is what it is. But anyways, guys, that's my story. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I have no ill will towards my company because they treated me good. I cannot lie. I'm not going to badmouth State Farm. It's a very employee-friendly company, and I got terminated because they're becoming increasingly woke. Increasingly woke. And less tolerant than they traditionally have been of differing views. So no ill will towards my company. It's more about these rat Judaizers that reported me like the snitches that they are, because I found out they were living an unholy lives and I exposed them for who they are, trying to tell everybody they got to keep the law of Moses, yet they ain't even keeping it. Salute.